Hello, so I am so excited to be filming this video because it is my favorite time of year, Halloween time. I'm going to be filming my October TBR and I have literally the biggest TBR pile, and I do hope I'm going to be doing a lot of reading in October. I'm planning to do hopefully more than one 24-hour readathon so I can just really read all the horror books and just have the best time ever. But you know, there are a lot of books here, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to them all. It's super ambitious, but I thought I would just mention them anyway because maybe I can get some of these on your radar if you haven't been aware of them. These all sound like so incredible, and I'm just so excited about the reading plans for October. So the first book is my Patreon buddy read. If you don't know, I have a Patreon, and on there we do monthly buddy reads. So the book is decided in a poll, and this is what won for October: Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And this is adult horror, although I've heard it's not actually like too scary. It's more just like creepy, like it has creepy vibes. And basically it says that this is a feminist reimagining of Gothic fantasy in which a young socialite discovers the haunting secrets of a beautiful old mansion in 1950s Mexico. Are you kidding me? I absolutely love like any haunted house stories. And on the back it says, "He's trying to poison me, you must come for me, know me, you have to save me." So yeah, just super excited about this one. And I have been meaning to read books by Silvia Moreno Garcia because I know she has other books out like Gods of Jade and Shadow, which a lot of people love. So I'm just really excited to get into this and see what I think. And I always do a spoiler-filled reading vlog for Patreon, so if you want to be part of that and, you know, see all my live reactions and everything, be sure to join me over there. It's always linked below. But yeah, really excited about this. So I have a few buddy reads lined up, so I'm going to talk about those books now. Jamie, Caitlin and I, Jamie from Jamie Alicia and Caitlin from Cait Literature, we're all planning to buddy read 2 books together. So the first is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Now this is like a classic horror novel, and obviously the show The Haunting of Hill House is based off of this, and that show, one of my favorite shows of all time. Literally incredible. So good. And I actually have heard that the book is kind of boring compared to the show. I know that Olivia from Stories for Coffee, she loves the show too, and she said she read the book and she thought it was like quite boring. So I don't actually have too high hopes, but I definitely want to read it. I just want to see, you know, what the source material is like. And like I said, this is a classic horror novel, so I just want to get into it. And I'm thinking of listening to the audiobook because, like I said, if it's boring, it'll be easier to get through if I listen to the audiobook. But if you don't know, it's all about a haunted house. And like I said, I love haunted house stories. So yeah, like I'm just so excited. Well, like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but I'm still excited to see like how I feel, and I'm sure it's gonna be a fun time buddy reading with Jamie and Caitlin. So yeah, this is the first book we're planning to buddy read, and the next book we're planning to buddy read is Bunny by Mona Awad. And I actually haven't heard too much about this. I hauled it in like a pretty recent haul, and I talked about how I bought it because Caitlin read it earlier this year and she loves it so much, and she thinks that I'm also gonna love it, so I definitely want to read it. And it does sound really cool because it is horror. It is set in a university. It's supposed to be kind of like weird and vague, which is definitely intriguing to me, and I personally love stories that are kind of like up for interpretation or just vague and stuff like that, so it just makes me excited. And it says, "We were just these innocent girls in the night trying to make something beautiful. We nearly died. We very nearly did, didn't we?" And it says it's also supposed to be hilarious and submersive, magical and knife sharp. Oh my god! The Secret History meets Jennifer's Body. I absolutely love Jennifer's Body. That's one of my favorites, so I am so excited to read this. I don't know how accurate that is, but like I said, I'm just so excited to read this. I think it's also going to be a good book to buddy read because, like I said before, it's kind of vague and stuff, so we can talk about our theories and stuff. So I'm just so hyped. Like, October's gonna be the best. So the next book I'm planning to buddy read with Starla from Starla Reads. Absolutely love her. And we're planning to buddy read Out by Natsuo Carino. And I have been meaning to read this for a while. I've like been so excited about this book. I feel like I've talked about it so much on my channel and I haven't read it yet. But I have been waiting for October. Like, I'm definitely not the type of person who's like, oh my gosh, you can only read horror in October. Like, that's obviously not the vibes that I live by. But I've just been so excited about this, so I wanted to make it a moment and have it be in October where all the spooky vibes are intensified. And yeah, so I can't wait for this. This is a horror novel that has been translated from Japanese, and it's supposed to be like super scary, and I want to read super scary books. So this book is set in Tokyo, and we follow 4 women who are in dead-end jobs. They don't like their lives, and finally one of them snaps and kills their husband, and then the other women help, I think. So it definitely sounds intriguing. Like it's described here, it's supposed to be sensational. So this is one of the books I'm most excited about, just because, like I said, I've been meaning to read it for months, and every time I see it on my shelf I'm like, oh, I can't wait to read you. So I really hope it's amazing because I already in my mind have decided that I love this book. So if I don't, that's gonna be sad, but hopefully I do love this book. And I just love the cover too. Like, how cool. is that. So another book that has been translated from Japanese is Goth by Otsuchi, and this is another book that's supposed to be absolutely terrifying. And in this book we follow Marina, who is described as being the strangest girl in school because she is obsessed with brutal murders, and the town that she lives in is apparently a magnet for serial killers. So she and her friend try to track these serial killers down, not to stop them but to simply understand them more. So I think this is going to be really interesting once again, and like I said, I've heard it's super scary. Also, I'm planning to do a lot of reading vlogs in October, so hopefully you'll see me, you know, reading these books and get my reactions and everything. I am so excited, and I'm planning to do, like I said, a 24-hour readathon, so I will just read like super scary books hopefully in that period, and maybe I'll read this book in one of the 24-hour readathons because it is kind of short, just under 300 pages, so I'm so excited to see if it's as scary as people say. The next book is a book that I found out about recently, and that is Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. And I actually had never heard of this book, but then Jessie from Bowties and Books, they messaged me asking if I'd heard of this book and was planning to read it, and I was like, oh, I've actually never heard of that book. They told me more about it and it sounds incredible. So this is another horror novel, and it is written by a black author, which is amazing because I think I mentioned in a previous book haul that every time I was looking for more horror books, it was harder to find horror books by authors of color. So I get so excited when I find a new one, and some of you have actually like recommended me some, which makes me so happy. So please, if you have any other horror book recommendations by authors of color, please comment them below. But yeah, so this is what I'm so excited about. Jessie told me that a lot of like modern thriller readers find this book unsatisfying because it is one of those vague stories where it's not fully like tied up and everything. But like I said before, I'm a fan of that most of the time. So that makes me excited, and the premise sounds so cool. So basically this is set at Catherine House, and during your 3 years at Catherine House you will have no contact to those in the outside world. So it definitely has some cult vibes going and you can't even have any outside music or books or anything like that. And I always get so excited when books are set in a university, so I'm really excited for this and Bunny. The next book I want to read is The Girl from the Well by Rin Chupeco. This is like a pretty short horror novel and it's YA, but it is supposed to be pretty scary. So this book basically follows the spirit of Akiku, who was brutally murdered 300 years ago, and she basically seeks out those who have taken the lives of children, and it says she has no remorse for the wicked. This is also pitched as The Ring meets The Grudge, which makes me so excited, and I have heard really good things about this, so very, very excited. The next book I want to read is a pretty new release. I pre-ordered it, and that is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar, and this is supposed to be just like a classic slasher horror novel, and Elias, who reads a lot of horror and thrillers, he recently read it and he said there's a lot of death going on in this book. So I think this would just be a fun slasher. And I personally am not like super scared of clowns, but I do love like clown horror stories. So in this book, Quinn moves to a new tiny town where they have a creepy clown for their mascot, and then apparently there's a homicidal clown on the loose. So I think this is going to be a fun, quick read, and I really love the cover too. It just is like a classic horror novel vibe, and I love horror stories set in a small town, so it's just got a lot going on for it that I'm excited about, and I can't wait to read it. I'm trying to think of something else I can say, but obviously I'm excited for all of these books. The next book is also supposed to be like a fun slasher horror novel, and that is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, and I love the cover of this book because it looks all old and stuff. It's just a really satisfying paperback. But yeah, so this says this book packs all the magic of a summer horror flick. So it actually says this is a supernatural thriller, and my friend Jamie did read this and she said it was so fun, and she says that I'm probably gonna love it too. The next book I have is Harrow Lake by Kat Ellis, and this was the ARC that was sent to me a few months ago. So it's really cool because it looks like a VHS, and this is what the actual book looks like. It's so cool. So if you buy this, it won't look like this, unfortunately, because like I said, this is the ARC version. But I've been so excited to read this because once again, it's set in like a small town, and this town has its own like monster mythology, and local legend has it that Mr. Jitters, a recluse, was trapped underground in a landslide and survived by feeding off the dead. And now that he's got a taste for flesh and wants revenge on the town that ignored his cries for help. There was also a cult horror movie that was filmed in Harrow Lake, the town. So it just sounds so cool. And actually, Kevin recently read this, Kevin from Irish Reader, he recently read this and he said it's actually more of like a thriller, so that makes me a bit sad just because I thought it was going to be like super scary, but he said that it's definitely more of like a thriller with like a murder mystery element and stuff, so still really excited about this. Then I have another ARC, and that is The Reckless Afterlife of Harriet Stoker by Lauren James, and this is already out now, so you can get it if you want, but this sounds so cool. It follows Harriet Stoker, who dies from falling off a building, and then she encounters all these ghosts, and apparently there's also a lot of queer characters, and it's supposed to just be really fun. I was looking at reviews before and a lot of people seem to love it, and I love ghost stories. So the next book is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, and this was recently sent to me by Penguin as part of their Penguin Previews book club. So every few months I get to choose some books and stuff. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I definitely want to read that, because I've seen quite a few people read this and love it. And this book follows 4 witches, and apparently this book takes the best tropes of horror and witchcraft and gives them a refreshingly feminist twist. So it just sounds like it's going to be really cool. That's all I know about it. That's all I want to know about it. And I think I'm gonna love it just from that alone. So the next 2 books are actually 2 classics. And if you know me, you know I don't usually have much interest in reading classics, but there are a few classics that I do want to read. And I've actually bought some cool editions of some classics recently. So I'm really excited to show you those in an upcoming book haul, but you'll obviously see 2 now. So basically I want to read Dracula by Bram Stoker. And I'm not sure if Dracula was like the first vampire story, maybe, I don't know, but it's obviously an iconic vampire story. How cool is the cover? Like, I'll talk about it more in my book haul, but this is such a cool edition. Anyway, so Dracula, yeah, obviously it's about Dracula the vampire. So if you know me, you know I love vampires. I love vampire stories. So I just really want to read like the first, I don't know if it is the first vampire story. So I'm not sure how much I'm gonna love this. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna connect to the writing style and stuff. That's usually my biggest issue with classics. I just don't care for the way that a lot of classics are written. So yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna like this, but I definitely am curious. And then the next classic is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I actually have read this already, so this will be a reread. I read this in high school because we had to study it, and I remember just loving studying it, and I just had such a good time, and Mary Shelley is just so interesting to me. I just really want to reread this because it's been so long, and Frankenstein is just such a good story, and I want to like annotate it and stuff, so hopefully I can get to this too. And speaking of Frankenstein, I also plan to read Junji Ito's version of Frankenstein. Finally, I've owned this book for a while, I think like 1 or 2 years, and I've been meaning to read it, so I'm excited to finally get to it. Like, this is one I'm definitely going to get to. So yeah, this is obviously just Junji Ito's version, and it's going to have his amazing illustrations, and I think it also has some other short stories in here too. So of course you need some Junji Ito in October. That's amazing. So I'm very excited about this. Okay, and lastly I have a few graphic novels and manga that I want to read. So these are all horror as well. So I recently got the graphic novel Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. So it says stories by, so I think this is a collection of short stories. To be honest, I don't know too much about this, but I know a lot of people have talked about how good it is, and once I saw the art style I was like, wow, even if the story sucks, like I'm still gonna enjoy it because the art style is just so cool. I don't know what it's about, but also it's called Through the Woods, and I love any horror story that's set in the woods, so just, yeah, I'm excited about this. Then I want to read Utsubora by Azumiku Nakamura, and I've hauled this recently, but basically it's a story of a novelist who succumbs to the siren call of plagiarism when a mysterious beauty straight from his own pages accosts him unbidden. So it sounds fascinating, and the art style looks incredible once again, so I've been really looking forward to reading this, so I'm excited to finally get to it in October. And then lastly I want to read Abitsu by Haruto Ryo, and this is another one I've been super excited about. Urban legend has it that a girl in gothic Lolita garb will sometimes appear at local garbage drops in the middle of the night, putting a question to passerby. Would you have a little sister? To reply is to seal one's fate and meet with a diabolical death at the hands of none other than the Twisted Sister. So this is supposed to be pretty creepy too. So as you can see, I have a lot of books on my TBR, but they literally all sound amazing. Like, I really feel like I'm gonna love like all of these books. So I just think October is going to be such a good reading month. Hopefully I'll be reading some new favorites. Like I said, I'm so excited for the reading vlogs, so hopefully you'll see that I'm reading a lot of books in October. So I would love to know what books you're planning to read in October, especially if they're horror, and if you have any other horror book recommendations for me, please let me know. And if you made it to the end of this video, you can put a knife emoji in the comments just to show your support. And yeah, if you're looking for more content from me, like I said, I have a Patreon, which is linked below. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Books with Chloe. I have my other channels, Journal with Chloe and ASMR with Chloe, and I'll hopefully be starting to stream on Twitch in October. So lots of links in my description if you want to find me on other platforms. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all are having a good day or night, and I'll see you in my next one.